Well, Giannis Antetokounmpo looked predictably gutted following the devastating non-contact injury to Damian Lillard in Game 4 of the Bucks' first-round series against the Indiana Pacers. A day after the injury, when all of the imaging results came in, the Bucks' worst fears were confirmed: a torn Achilles tendon. And the injury, which typically is around a 12-month recovery, would put Lillard out essentially for the entire season next year. And with his age factored into the equation, it isn't premature speculation to wonder if this might just be career-ending. He is, after all, about the same exact age as Kobe Bryant was when he ruptured his Achilles. And while Kobe would return for 3 agonizing injury-riddled seasons after that initial Achilles rupture, he never really did make it back, as Kobe played in only 107 of a possible 246 games following that Achilles injury over his final 3 seasons of his career. And that was while his game was substantially depreciated during those last 3 seasons. He dipped from a 27-point-per-game scoring average in 78 games during the 2012-2013 season when he popped the Achilles, which was a higher scoring average in more games played that season than 28-year-old MVP LeBron James. And when he came back from the Achilles, Kobe averaged only 19 points per game on just 37% shooting in the 100 games that would follow the injury. So yeah, if Kobe Bryant can't make it back from that, chances are high Lillard won't be able to either. And that is if he is even able to play the year after next. And at that point, Giannis Antetokounmpo will be heading into his 14th season. The Bucks, meanwhile, have no way to improve this team during that span of time, while also being pot committed to an injured Dame Lillard to the tune of $55 million annually. Realistically, no teams are lining up to swap better players for Kyle Kuzma or an injured 35-year-old that isn't even going to suit up next season. The Bucks also do not control a single first-round pick between now and 2030, which is almost impossible to believe, but true. And that means they can't sweeten any trade packages to offload these contracts. The Bucks really are Denver East, with the way that organization has mismanaged and mangled Giannis's career. A top 15 to 20 all-time player, and yes, I kid you not, Giannis is going on his 7th consecutive season and counting, in which he will be both first-team All-NBA and will finish top 5 in MVP voting. And for reference on that, Magic Johnson and Larry Bird each did it 9 times during the course of their careers. But Giannis simply hasn't been surrounded by the kind of star players those two were fortunate enough to play with. Giannis, in fact, has had less to work with than just about any all-time great ever to this point of his career. Now through his 12th NBA season, Giannis has played with a teammate who was selected to either an all-star team, all-NBA team, or all-NBA defensive team only 13 times total. And for more comparison on that to the aforementioned Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, well, by this stage of Magic's career, he had played with 40 such teammates, while Bird had played with 37. Milwaukee failed Giannis, the same way Minnesota failed Kevin Garnett, the same way even Cleveland had failed LeBron through the first 7 years of his career. Giannis, though, unlike those two players, actually managed to win an NBA championship in his tiny market, cheap organization with a lousy front office. There is no way out, though, of this predicament now that the Bucks find themselves in. It is either trade Giannis now or waste the last remaining years of his prime going through a series of first or second round exits. Assuming Bobby Portis and Pat Connaughton both pick up their player options because, well, why wouldn't they? The Bucks would owe $153.5 million to just the players they have under contract at this point, which doesn't even include what they decide to do with Brook Lopez, who is a free agent at the end of this season. The projected cap, meanwhile, next year, well, that would be $154.6 million. So that essentially means the Bucks are already there. The team, meanwhile, will go into next year without Dame for the season, a team which is headed precipitously towards a first-round exit to a team in the Pacers that isn't even top 3 in the conference.
It's a complete crap.
The Giannis era has run its course. It is not just in his best interest to be traded, but in the organization's, who will never have more leverage in this situation than they do right now. That is since Giannis has 2 years left on his contract. If they open the bidding to the entire league, the sky is the limit on what kind of a package they can get back in return. That would, no doubt, be some combination of young assets and an obscene amount of first-round draft picks. But there aren't many teams out there that possess such a combination of assets. A team that could afford to part with such a package without gutting themselves totally and therefore limiting the potential to compete and thus the attractiveness of such a situation for Giannis. And while it is true I have officially begun my push for Nikola Jokic and Giannis Antetokounmpo to team up this summer and the resultant stranglehold on the NBA that they would have, as remember that number earlier for Giannis, 13 All-Stars, All-NBA, or All-NBA defensive teammates at this stage for Antetokounmpo, while Magic, just to remind you, had played with 40 by this point and Bird with 37. Yeah, well, 10 years in and Jokic's number there is still sitting at 0. But his dreadful ass of an organization has no young assets, only fat, bloated carcasses of contracts, one-dimensional, middling scrubs making exorbitant amounts of money. They also control just 4 first-round picks over the next 7 years through the 2031 season. And there is no doubt the Lakers will be another flashy name brought up this summer in the Giannis sweepstakes because, well, why not? LeBron, of course, always needs more help after all. One top 3-ish player in Luka Doncic obviously isn't enough. Better make it 2, but not so fast, because the Lakers only have 3 first-round picks between now and 2031, plus, of course, no young assets. So which teams out there actually fit the criteria of being able to give the Bucks the package back they want and give Giannis a contender? Realistically, only 2. The Houston Rockets being one of them, who are chock full of appealing young assets and have control of as many as 8 first-round picks between now and 2031. Houston also has the added benefit from an optics standpoint of being on the verge of a first-round playoff elimination, despite being the 2 seed in their conference. This would be a winning narrative for all involved. A young, unproven team that is one piece away from viably competing. Giannis swoops in on his white horse and becomes the one to put them over the top. Now, the other team that makes the most sense, which would essentially be a Thanos-like endgame scenario for the entire NBA, would be the Oklahoma City Thunder, as no team in the league has a bigger stable of young stud assets, and they can have control of as many as 15 first-round picks between now and 2031. No. Do not wind this back. Do not re-listen to it. You heard it right. The Thunder could possess as many as 15 first-round picks in the next 7 years. This is the endgame. The only issue is getting salaries to match up, as the Thunder don't have many big salaries to match up with the $55 million annual tag Giannis has at the moment. But if there is one general manager in the league that can figure it out, it would be the best one, the Oklahoma City Thunder's VP of Basketball Operations and General Manager Sam Presti. Now, realistically, the only thing stopping this from happening, in my humble opinion, is the fact the Thunder are cruising towards an easy NBA championship this season. It is almost impossible to justify this kind of a move coming off of a 68-win campaign that would result in a title. This would be a break-the-league caliber move, akin to Wade and LeBron or Durant and Curry. How could the organization justify it? How could Shea? How could Giannis? But if something were to happen to the Thunder in these playoffs to derail their championship run, you can bet easy money that Giannis Antetokounmpo will be a Thunder by the regular season tip-off in October this upcoming year. Guys, many thanks for joining me here, and if you are not subscribed, please do consider doing so at this time. And to see more on the lack of help Giannis and Jokic have had, relatively speaking, throughout their careers compared to the other all-time greats, you can check out this video right here, and stay tuned for more from me. Until next time.